the SMART goals. Again, we don't want to just be here taking the information and leaving and not doing stuff with that. So the SMART goals. Has everyone heard of SMART goals? Everyone heard of SMART goals before? I know that I have been in places where they weren't familiar, so we are going to break them down. But I do know that they are useful, definitely useful, because, and then we'll get into that. So SMART goals. SMART is actually an acronym, and SMART actually stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, right? This is really important when it comes to goal setting, because it is very easy for us to set goals and to move towards our goals, but to honestly not make a lot of movement or progress over time because our goals aren't that specific, or they're not that measurable. Sometimes they're not attainable at all, honestly. Sometimes it's because they're not relevant to our other goals or to our lifestyle, or sometimes there is no time limit on it. One thing that comes to mind, I was talking with a friend once who was interested in, finding, and basically dating somebody, right? They were like, I'm trying to get a man, right, by this time, right? And honestly, they didn't say by this time. They didn't say that. They just said, I'm trying, man. And, sometimes, you're like, oh, I hear it, you gotta you gotta get out there, blah, blah, blah. But then sometimes you're like, okay, look, but what are you gonna do? Because I don't want you just to be saying this and then, next year it'll be the same situation. Or 3 years from now it'll be the same situation. Like, are there actual steps that we're trying to take in order to achieve the goals? Or are we really not saying that it's a goal, it's more of a hope, or it's more of a wish, or it's more of a prayer? Or is it, if it is indeed a goal, there has to be footwork, there has to be strategy, there has to be action, there has to be dedication, even, to a certain goal. There are definitely goals that I know that I've set where I've wanted it for a season, and then in time I've let go of that goal because of whatever life circumstances, other things that came up that were very important as well that I had to take care of. However, what I do know is that when I really do want something and really have wanted something, if I really continue to demonstrate that over time, most of those things were able to come to fruition. And so I bring that up because I've heard this in classes that I've taught as well, where sometimes it's something that is way too loose. Goals that aren't SMART are just wishes and dreams. And honestly, dreams sound like, I want to have, a house and 3 kids, and what I was hearing was I want to have a mansion, right? I don't even just want a house, right? I want a mansion with a wife and 3 kids in this city or that state. And I go, okay, that sounds really dope. So one, when are you moving to even get into that vicinity to possibly have a property in this place? Where are you going to work so that you can support not only the mortgage, but also the family that you want to have? And how long are you going to give yourself to really make this happen? Because as long as it remains a wish or a dream, this is something that can remain until the day we die, and we not necessarily do something about it for that whole time period. It is just something that we are imagining, or rather hoping, will just come to pass by virtue of the fact that we simply want it for ourselves. And the reality is, especially if it's a goal that is, I would say some of the goals that are most worth attaining are the ones that are going to require the most work. It's not just going to happen. It's not going to come out of nowhere. You have to put some footwork in and make some things possible, or rather make some things happen. I wrote here, if they aren't SMART, this is what happens. If it is not specific, it is vague. And if it is too vague, the method can be ineffective. If we say, I want to lose weight, but we haven't said how much we want to lose, then we may not do the right exercises, we may not apply the right diet, we may not inquire from the right people, because we have not even really been very specific about that. Another instance, or moving right along with that, is if it was specific, I said I really want a certain body type at the end of this particular period, you might now have a person that comes to mind, an organization, a business that comes to mind. It will even determine what gym you go to, right? All gyms aren't created equal. All trainers aren't created equal. You'll say, hey, you know what? I need to go to a bodybuilding gym and not just a gym where people are working out when they have time. I need to go to a place where there are trainers that are going to give me meal plans. They are going to coach me along the way. There may be a show at the end of our process so that I can participate, because I am very specific. Am I just trying to lose some weight, or am I trying to be in the best shape of my life, so to speak? And I literally need to consult somebody who is a bodybuilder, or somebody who is an ex-athlete, right? Someone who literally played for the Raiders, right? Literally played in the NFL or a baseball team, to teach me what I need to know. When it's specific like that, then your mind naturally gravitates towards, okay, this is what I need to start doing and going to consult. But if it's too vague, it can be anybody. Like I said, it could be Planet Fitness. And listen, Planet Fitness is not 24-hour fitness. 24-hour fitness isn't Gold's Gym, right? Gold's Gym isn't some of the more, again, very structured gyms where they have, let's say, CrossFit, right? So once we start getting specific, we really get more clarity on where we need to go. If it is not measurable, its attainment is debatable. Did you reach your goal? I don't know. You said you wanted to lose weight. Let's say, you said you wanted to, as it pertains to a nonprofit, I want to get a new hire, right? I want to get somebody that's going to help me write grants. And so you go on Indeed and you're like, the job description isn't super specific, and therefore you get somebody who helps you write grants. But are they good at it? And how good are they at it, right? Like, okay, yeah, they can probably help you write it, but are they going to help you extremely well with it? Or are they just going to kind of give you a little bit of something that you're really wanting for your organization? When you're really specific, right, that's when you start saying, well, actually, I want somebody who has 6 years experience writing grants. I don't want just somebody who's just willing to help, right? I want somebody who does grants often. I want somebody who can tell me what grants they've won, how much they won with their grants, and when's the last time they did one that was successful, right? The more specific, the more measurable we get to something, the more we start saying, okay, I don't just want somebody that's going to help with grants. I want somebody that's going to be able to get me a grant for this much money by this time. Now you start putting in measurements, right? Measurements are super important for that. Attainable. If it is not attainable, we are dreaming and cannot put for enough action. Yeah, put forward enough action to make it happen. Some of the things are just frankly outlandish, right? And I've heard this, and not to say that we have outlandish goals, but sometimes our goals are outlandish, and we are absolutely thinking, we're just dreaming, honestly. Like I said, mansion in the hills. Do you even have an idea of what career path you're going to go along to possibly own a mansion in the hills? Or is it just a dream? And dreams are fine, honestly, until you really need them to happen, right? The older we get, we start going like, no, like, it's not fun no more. Like, if I don't make this happen, I'm not even happy with the way my life is turning out. So again, we can't just have things that are just, fairy tales, but we want to have things that are real and that are attainable. I want to be a billionaire. Okay, I'm glad you want that. But if you don't have any perspective on what it will take to be a billionaire, and you're not putting yourself on that path around those people, whatever it may be, then it just sounds like it's just a dream. And again, we want to set goals more than we just want to have dreams. Relevant, super important. If it's not relevant to your current goals and efforts, you can be chasing two rabbits. And I say that, Eric Thomas had mentioned that in one of his speeches. It's like chasing two rabbits. You're never going to catch both of them, right? If it's if you're doing something, if your lifestyle is set up a certain way, you're walking in this certain direction every single day with the time and energy that you have, and you want to do something completely different, you are going to have to change so much that it most likely won't happen in the time it needs to happen in. It most likely won't happen in the situation that you're currently in, and so forth. I remember watching an interview with Morgan Freeman, and he said that he wanted to be an actor, and he was living in somewhere in like Middle America, and he was saying, when I wanted to be an actor, I had to move to Hollywood. I moved to Hollywood so I could become an actor. That's what I did. I dropped everything I was doing and I took myself to Hollywood. And he was speaking to folks who were also interested in possibly being an actor or whatever they want to be. And they said, you're going to have to leave and go where those things are made. If you want to be into tech, you better get yourself to Silicon Valley. If you want to be into Hollywood, you better get yourself to LA, or entertainment by any means. You need to get yourself in the right places, around the right people, and make those types of moves. I bring that up because sometimes our goals are so far away from where we are currently that they're most likely not going to be able to have the footing or the traction that they need to happen. But if you are currently already doing something that is relevant to this particular goal, and you're doing it well, and you're doing it with success, then doing something right alongside that is actually kind of being accomplished by virtue of what you're already doing, then it's much more relevant, right? It's much more attainable at that point too, because it's not a far stretch for you to go, hey, I want to lose this much more weight, or I want to gain this much more muscle, or I want to get this much more funds, right? It's like, well, actually, we already are raising money. If I could just find a way to get more out of the people that I'm already connecting to, then it's something that's much more relevant to what we're already doing. But if you're not doing that at all, then again, it's going to be much more difficult to attain that goal because it's not relevant to what you're already accomplishing. And then as it pertains to time, if it is not time bound, you will never need to say it didn't happen. And you will make no adjustments. And that's why I brought that up about the friend who said, I want to find somebody and settle down with them. And it's like, okay, so at what point is it going to be crunch time? Mm-hmm. Because crunch time brings out a whole other part of us. We know about deadlines. There's a deadline, whether it's 3 weeks from now, it's 2 months from now, it's a year from now. When we have a deadline, we say, oh shoot, the last quarter of that deadline, we start putting in a whole other level of effort if we haven't already put that effort in the beginning. Deadlines, something being time bound, allows us to go, okay, now I can go ahead and make sure that I pull out whatever stops I need to pull out, whoever I got to call, whatever websites I got to connect to, whatever folks that I know, say, hey, do you know any people that I would possibly be a match with? I got 3 months, and we got to figure something out. One of our friends, one of my wife's friends that we're connected to, said, I have a 50th birthday coming, and I need to not be on this birthday cruise or trip by myself. And I'm like, I'm glad she said that, because there's a greater likelihood that you will not, because you gave yourself a time that you want to make this happen. And that happens not only with birthdays, but sometimes it's like, hey, there's a wedding coming up. I'm not going to that wedding alone. I put that on money. I put that on my parents. I am not going to that wedding alone. Those are the types of things that make us go, hey, I'm about to lose the weight I got to lose. I got to get a different job by this time. I got to move over here by this time, because I am on a timeline. I am on a schedule, if you will, that pushes me to achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve. And so that is the different things that having a SMART goal allows us to put everything into perspective. It forces us to take apart our goal and say, not only do you want to do that, but exactly when do you want to do it? Exactly what do you want to do? Are you trying to lose 20 or are you trying to lose 30? Or are you trying to gain muscle and so you're actually going to gain weight? Tell me what's exactly going on, and then let's really focus in on these particular things. And so what we did already do We did have a chance to discuss our opportunities, discuss our strengths, discuss our weaknesses and our threats, so we can begin to start putting things together. And so I did write like an example, or actually, this is part of the example, but I'll work with this. I put a SMART goal looks like I want to create a program to help at-risk teens graduate from high school. The reality is, it could be more specific. Can somebody give me just some ideas about how much more specific this goal can even be? At-risk teens to graduate from high school? Numbers, exactly, right? So one is I could say how many kids I want to help graduate from high school. What's my goal? What's another way that we can get more specific with at-risk teens from high school graduating?
By doing what?
Exactly, my methods. How exactly I can go ahead and do that, because there are different types of programs, right? Sometimes we can be more, like Gia had mentioned, we can be more internal focused, we can be more artistically focused, we can be more academically focused, we can be more family oriented. What is going to be my particular strategy of accomplishing that goal is one way that I can get more specific. One thing that comes to me is also, am I thinking about all the students, or am I thinking about all the girls, all the boys, or am I thinking about a certain economic bracket, or even a certain race, right? We can say, hey, I really want to, with all due respect to all peoples and, so on and so forth, we say, hey, I really want to do this for the Polynesian population. I see a lot of them, they have a lot of potential, and, I just have a heart for that, right? Now, it could be, of course, African Americans, whatever that may be. But of course, it starts to, again, really shrink down and help us to hone in on exactly what we're trying to do. Because when we do that, then we start going, okay, well, who are the BSU leaders on campus, right? Who are the campuses that have the most black staff that can help me to do this at their school, and then possibly we can extend it to another school and another school. But that even brings up the question, school district. What particular school we want to work with? We could possibly be thinking about a school that's really struggling. So you know what, as much as I want to help all these schools, this school is doing fine. We need to go over here. That's where I really want to focus my energies, right? So we're not just talking about any high school in the world, right? Measurable. So one thing that Bobby mentioned was the number of youth that we want to work with, right? I mentioned by April right here. It says I will be serving at least 10 youth by April, and that would actually get down to the time-bound part. But definitely giving a number to to anything, honestly, whether it's how much money we want to raise, it's how many people we want to bring on, how many people we want to help, right? How many people we want to have on our board, whatever it may be. Measurable ultimately comes down to numbers. What are the numbers of whatever your goal is? And again, we're thinking about this for setting SMART goals for this, so let's definitely keep this in mind. I know that I didn't get to finish these ones here. So attainable. So if I'm thinking about helping at-risk kids that are in high school, 10 by April, I have to start thinking, okay, what is the closest high school to me that I really want to help out, right? What is the closest one? Granted, I have love for our students in Compton, right? However, how am I going to help somebody way in Compton given the means that I have? Now, if I have connections to Compton, I have a whole network in Compton. That's where I'm from. That's where my people are at. And I could just be like, hey, I'll connect you with these resources. Y'all could do the work. We could actually have an impact there. Then that makes complete sense. However, it does have to be something that is within reach. It is not extravagant. Again, this number doesn't have to be 200. It doesn't have to be, all African American students in San Francisco School District, right? It could literally just be something bite-sized. Okay, this is just to let me know, one, if this is possible. Two, if this is something that that I'm actually good at. Sometimes we have skills that we want to exercise, but we may not be as great at that skill as we think we are, and we need to get some tests, right? We say, hey, we have this organization, we have this program we want to have. We don't know if we could really help out with the youth the way we want to, but let's just set a small goal so that if we can extend that. We can say, hey, we did do the 10, and actually we did the 10. We got 50 kids showing up to our program, and they're about that academic life, right? They're actually really trying to make it happen. Maybe we aim too small. At least there's a number that you're surpassing. But if you aim too big, then you could, one, feel discouraged that you didn't hit such a large number. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're not good at this, maybe blah, blah, blah. But again, I would say measurable is great. Starting small would probably be better than just having it measurable at all, because it allows you to put forth the effort and see what happens, right? See what you can do without setting too of an outlandish goal. Relevant. Is it relevant to what I already do? So this is really important too, because for instance, what Gia had mentioned earlier as it pertains to doing, let's say housing stuff. If housing is on your heart, but you are currently really focused on the healing stuff, then is it relevant to the healing stuff or the housing stuff, right? What is already going on? And that's, again, when we start talking about the two rabbits and stuff, relevant, because if we are already focused more so in one area, let's set goals around that area. If we're already putting energy towards this, we wake up in the morning, Monday through Saturday, we are always doing this stuff. Let's set goals around that stuff, because that is what's most relevant to what you already do. I personally, again, love to do different things. I admire people like Jamie Foxx, like Tyra Banks, like, who was the other guy, Childish Gambino, who was like on this show, and then they're on that movie, and then they're singing on that one, but they're doing comedy over there, and then they're starring, doing like action. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do all that, but I admire it. I think it's amazing. However, if we're going to achieve goals, if we're not careful, we could find ourselves, like they mentioned earlier, not taking care of one particular area at all, mm-hmm. and not actually getting things accomplished because we're trying to do something that's not relevant to the current goals that we already have. The last one, T, of course, we have mentioned like by April, right? By 2023, by, let's say June 2023. So that gives us 6 months into that particular thing. But I also want to say with regard to this, and this is important to acknowledge, is that some goals are going to take months. Some goals are going to take years. So there are some goals that you might want to have happen within the next year, and you just want to make progress for the next 4 months. And so we could just help each other be accountable to making that progress. For instance, becoming good at public speaking. Becoming good at public speaking is not a 4-month goal, right? That's more, I would say, a 5-year, maybe even 3 or so. And that's if you're like constantly, I'm talking about Toastmasters, I'm talking about on different cameras, talking to different groups because you are before a lot of people, then you can put a lot of energy into that particular thing. But if you don't have those connections, you're not involved in that, you're not teaching, weekly or even daily, then you may find yourself being like, I can't learn that in 4 months, right? I can't learn that in 2 years. I need to put a good amount of hours into this particular goal to get good or great at something that I'm trying to be great at. And so I do want you to feel encouraged to set longer term goals that take more than 4 months that we'll be together. But I definitely want you to acknowledge that some goals will take long periods of time, but we can still make progress on those. If you're one of y'all, both of y'all are really interested in the public speaking stuff, we can make sure to say, hey, okay, we got 2 weeks before we see each other again. What's your engagement? How are you going to work on something in these next 2 weeks, to get better at public speaking? What organizations help public speakers? What businesses help public speakers? Where are opportunities for public speakers? And we can get that thing going. But what we don't want to do is go, I should be great. in 4 months, right? I should be ready to go to the NFL, when I'm 18, right? But well, you're gonna need 4 more years at least before you're ready for those tackles, okay? So we want to give it some time, some energy for long-term things too, if that's what we want to do. And so I ultimately bring this up because I want y'all to set some SMART goals, okay? Set some SMART goals. I would say, honestly, work on one for now. We could even set more, especially if they're relevant to other ones that we are already setting. But if we could set one SMART goal that we want to accomplish within this next 4 months, then let's do that. At least so that when we're all done with this, everything is said and done, we know that we were making progress, and we don't say, oh, I was just trying to learn as much as I can. We definitely want to see you guys making progress along the goals that you want to set for yourself while we are here. And I wanted to do this last time that we were together, but the time with Miss Newton and Mr. Brooker didn't allow us to. So let's definitely set at least one SMART goal a day. And again, we'll work on them, we'll tweak them out, but at least we have some sense of direction about what we're trying to accomplish within these next 4 months. So I'll go back a little bit to what they stand for. Specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant and time-bound.
Do you have a question?
All right. Yes, you could ask your question. I think it's Gia.
Yeah, I think I just kind of heard you say this is the last time that we'll be connecting like this.
No. Nuh-uh.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we'll be doing this we'll do this twice a month. And we'll do this, up until about March.
oh, okay, yeah. So I have everything calendared. I just thought you just said something about someone didn't allow us to. This is the one. I don't know. Maybe I missed.
I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I was just saying that we didn't get to talk about this the last time that we talked.
Oh, okay. All right, working on my SMART goals. Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, specific is definitely important.
When's the last class?
I believe it's March 15th. That was just 5 minutes. How are people feeling about that time? Do people need more time? How's it going with you, Terrence?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You need some a little bit more time, or
No, I'm pretty good.
okay, cool. Shanita and Gia, let me know if you two need more time at all.
Uh, I'm good. I'm just stuck on measurable, but everything else is answered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Say that again, Gia.
No, I'm cool. I'm good. I'm working it out.
Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, Bobby just went to the restroom, so we'll get a little started with what we have written down, and then we will move forward from there. Um, the food is also just about to arrive too. They're gonna probably call in a second. Um, cool. And so again, this is to give us some direction. So even for y'all online, if once we're done with this exercise, you can send a picture of it, email it, something like that. That would be just a way, one, for us to acknowledge what the goal is that has been set, and then again, we'll keep coming back to it. Right? We're going to talk about funding. We're going to talk about board of directors. We're going to talk about fundraising and again personal development and things like this. But each week that we do come together, we definitely are going to touch on, okay, what progress has been made, what hasn't happened, right? What needs to happen still? How can we help each other in making certain things happen? We are going to definitely talk about all of those things. So this definitely gives us the opportunity and the blueprint each week to come back to this and go, okay, so how did that go? We said you were going to do this week. Did you start it? Did you finish it? Did you reach the person? How can you, what are the next steps? And so if anyone wants to start sharing what the specific goal was. So the first thing was to get in the specific. What did you guys write for the essence?
Mm-hmm. I wrote, I had a bunch of them. Business plan, leadership skills, public speaking.
Right, so we're going to start with one. So let me say not start with one. Let me know which of those is the most important. Which one of those is most important? But I even want to even push a little further and go, which one of those is most relevant to what you currently already are doing and currently already have going on?
I would say business plan writing.
Okay. Cool. And honestly, if I'm honest with you, that could take a little bit of time. Yeah, that doesn't have to be a 1 week type of event. That could take a little minute. And it also could, it could be possibly done in a shorter time. So even with that being said, we'll acknowledge that, but I will be honest and say business plans, narrowing our focus down and really focusing on what exactly we're going to do for our business, how we're different from other organizations, what's specific about us that makes us carve out a certain niche. All of that's really important. So I'm glad you said that. So if that is your first, your most specific goal for that, carving out a business plan, do you have to submit a business plan to anybody? Is there anyone you can submit it to?
No, not at this moment. But I know I'm gonna need a business plan for this nonprofit.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know where to start from. I do go on the internet sometimes to look at the templates.
Right. And I've seen those too.
Yeah.
Right.
And two, also, Jermaine, like I said before, the language.
Right. Right. Give me 1 second. Hello? Yes. You're outside? Okay, we'll be there in a second. Yeah, thank you. If you can. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I would say that makes sense. I would say definitely completing one, because I think there are about 9 components. I think 7 to 9 components. Completing one definitely takes some time and energy. So I feel that, and I think that dedicating yourself to that is important. So definitely, yeah, that's a good first specific goal. Anyone else like to share a specific goal that they have?
I put one of the main focus is getting funded and then locating and building the house program.
Right. And so out of those two things, and honestly, they may be able to be connected, but out of those two things, what is the bigger focus?
Building.
The building. Okay. So is that to say that if the building opportunity arose first, that there would be some type of funding to help at least get it in your possession?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Okay, that's good news. Awesome. Okay. And so the type of building you mentioned you write it down. It was like a warehouse building.
Warehouse type, something with a roll-up door. Like if I'm going to be doing training and teaching how to do car interiors and furniture, I'm gonna need that for shipping, receiving, and that sort of thing. And then a big enough space to where I can also set up the design and structure of the program.
Right.
Teaching how to design and make our own products.
Yeah, have some different areas in it.
Yeah.
And are you thinking close by, like
Yeah.
kind of Bayview?
Yeah.
Bayview area.
I'm hearing there's a lot of warehouse, but Samsung's just so expensive. I
Right.
was even in a meeting the other day, trying to learn the formula of, I know back in the days, a long time ago, I used to get, if you had a program, whatever, you can probably pro bono a building, get $1 a year or a month, but I know that's probably out of the question now. You know, we have on a location, you ever heard of Hunters Point Youth Park? It used to be A&B, ran it years ago. It's a property that's owned by the school board, school district, down the hill from Malcolm X.
Right.
Just there, and they tore the old bungalows down,
Right.
but they used to have a nonprofit there, and it's just open space. And so that's where we do most of our events, and that's where we're targeting. We're even talking with the construction companies that's in the community on site, if they can donate us some of those construction bungalows that they have, to where we can even get out and start doing some programming from them. It's just getting the start.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that. Yeah, definitely makes me think about certain spaces. It makes me also think about people who have spaces who you can possibly use their space, so, part-time. My mind thinks about, like church buildings, like they'll use like for this service, they'll use that, at a certain time so that the other church can do this, or they'll have the church like at a school gymnasium, right? And in the meantime, until they have a building, because getting a space, especially like you mentioned, an expensive area, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But yeah, that sounds good. No, that sounds good. Anyone else a specific goal that they want to set? And I also want to say, like, I'm sure you probably thought about it, but definitely like square footage and stuff like that. Because I know that there could be some opportunities where it's like, okay, this is great, but this is like either too small or like it's like enormous. And it may be an issue around, temperatures or whatever it may be. And so, getting more and more clear on the specific space will be helpful too. Anyone else for the S, specific goal that you want to set for yourself? You good? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Bobby.
No, I was just smiling because it's not just S. It's kind of long, but I wrote it out to where it just covers all the letters of the acronym.
Ah, okay. Well, let's try to stay focused on the S because of just want to see like again if it's specific enough. So yeah, can you try that?
Just cut out part of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the number 2, I got to go back and crunch some numbers, but I would like to. Like to raise $350,000 in seed capital by presenting our platform to 3 corporations and 3 philanthropists.
350,000. That sounds good. It also sounds like my mind thinks of grants when I think of that much money. So yeah, okay, 350,000. And I'm sure you have a time on it. So we'll get to that though. So cool, 350,000. Again, it's better than just saying I want to raise money, right? Because we all want to raise money. But again, when you're thinking about certain numbers, you're not just thinking, okay, the same methods, right? 350,000 isn't, popcorn sales, on on Facebook, right, with your friends and your family, right? And so now when we throw out some of those real numbers, we start thinking, okay, actually, I'm not just going to just say any number is fine. I really want to go after certain things, and because of that, I have to think of certain methods, not just one method, not just 2, but definitely not ones that are, only going to get me, $10,000, right? You want to think of the ones that are $100,000 opportunities like that.
Right.
For Gia, do you have a specific S that you have that you can share?
Okay, I'm unmuting. Yeah, mine was a bit more modest, just because I'm kind of connected. I don't know. Maybe I have a different scope. So my goal is just to have 5 more followers every month that are loyal and faithful. And will retain their commitment to our purpose throughout our spring retreat. We have a retreat in April. And if I can just retain 5 people every month who are committed, I don't need the big, it's just like, because I know movement is in the spirit. So, when you change, every time we do a workshop, everyone who's there, and it's always less than 10 at the most. But everyone says, oh my God, I'm so glad I changed my plans to be here. This was so meaningful. So there's something that I know that I'm tapping into at the core level. And it's not just me. I have a team. I'm working with a couple of people who are, fixtures in the community. But it's my creative lead, and they're relying on me, literally, to make sure that it happens. So if I could just, my goal is to just be able to, each one teach one, reach one. So just true. Like if you like what we're doing, stick with it and promote it. Like, I don't have astronomical numbers. I just want real people from the community who got real stories and want to make a real change.
Right.
That's
hear
hard.
that. Right, it is.
That's
I'm
hard
glad
to
you
get
said
people
that.
committed, and showing up all the time. That's not an easy task. You see,
Not at all.
you see people that will put stipends and all kinds of stuff to keep people coming. So
Yeah.
getting to not do that, and to have people, five people. What do you say each month?
Yeah.
5
every
new
month,
people
just
each
five,
month?
5 people.
Yeah, it's attainable. It's attainable, but it's not. But it's like you got to get the right people.
Right.
Yeah, and people still don't show up.
Yeah, right. Even when you pay them,
Exactly.
they still don't. They still don't show up. It's like, oh, that's not enough money. I'd rather go and do.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 people per month, and you say followers. So we're not talking social media, right?
No, it does. It's not. It's not restricted. It's inclusive.
Right. Well, so what is a follower? Is someone that are you saying that is committed to coming to the retreat?
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying as a follower is, it's more like, I guess, like a fan, or more like someone who believes in what we're doing. Like, I have a food ministry, and I gave out food yesterday to those in the Fillmore, and they say, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? I said, every Tuesday. Those are the followers. So and I post on social media, but they also, so they don't have to follow me on social media. They just need to be a fan. They just need to be, consistent with what they're doing and show up, because what I'm doing is for the people. And if you don't come and absorb what I'm doing, then I feel like my work is in vain. And if I could just only reach at least 5 people every month, sincerely, not with a bunch of propaganda, not with a bunch of, sincerely, who are truly interested, by the time the spring comes, then I'm going to have my own cohort.
Right. Right.
I'm going to be ready.
Right. Okay, so honestly, what this brings up for me, and I'm thinking about too for everyone else, is the how, right? And I think that that actually would go into the specific part, but I also feel like, is it attainable? But the how, right? Because we're, like you said, we're not talking about social media followers, so we're talking about people who are genuinely interested, not only interested, but are going to show up, they're going to be around, they're going to be looking for more information. Is what does the means look like when you're looking for somebody to be that interested, right? For instance, with our program, right? Like I want to make sure that when we have our next cohort, that we are pulling from a pool of like 40 people, right? That means that I want to make sure that I'm getting the word out to a whole bunch of people in order to be able to pull from these folks. But that is going to mean, for instance, what we're doing with social media is to put out videos and stuff on a regular basis. But I also feel like word of mouth is going to be super important. And so even doing things like intentionally networking with other organizations who are doing such work, I think will be very intentional in terms of getting the result that we want to have. So just give me an example of 2 things that you feel like would deliver that goal to you in that time period.
Okay, so I'm not excluding social media.
Right.
Because, that's a critical part. And I have a presence on social media. And, that's important for me.
Right.
But a couple of examples of how, I could create retention is, okay, so in my goals, one thing I can do is, okay, so I'm a little lazy, so I'm going to push myself. Oh my God, I'm like a little prima donna. I want everything done for me. And that's my issue, right? That's my issue. So, facing that is one of my weaknesses. You can put that on the last lesson plane before the break. But, one thing is that, like, I've become conditioned, because I had a particular type of success, and then I had a type of failure, where I have to rebuild. It happens, folks go through divorce, and, it happens. So my thing is now, it's like I have this, like I know I can do it, but I don't really go for it because I know I can do it, and then I like expect it just to happen. Like I have this thing like I have to get over myself. That's what probably somebody would tell me, oh, girl, get over yourself. So I'm struggling with that, and I'm just being transparent. So what my goal would be, it would probably be in the strive of humility, and in the strive of compassion is to do legwork, which means to door knock, like a Jehovah's Witness, is to go out and foot trample through the neighborhoods, in the communities, and maybe pass out flyers, shake some hands, pass out some business cards, and do some